Go ahead.
Yeah, keep going.
We got time.
So I know you got into a little bit into the design aspect. I've looked at places that might have a brown roof, charcoal colored roof, or whatever, and that's going to sort of affect the whole
Color scheme.
color scheme. And then I've made some pretty wild mistakes on that front. I got a business mind when it comes to aesthetics. I need to have somebody else probably thinking about a schematic.
So what I've learned is I got a gray scheme and I have a brown scheme. So depending on the roof colors, you can kind of coordinate it. I mean, sometimes you do run into where there's a green roof, but that doesn't flash too bad with a gray scheme. So the brownish red is very hard to do with the gray, but there are some grays out there that'll work. But on that, just go with the brown and do with the gray. Have two separate color patterns, and then you should be good on that. So I don't really like the browns anymore, but sometimes you don't really have a choice because if you don't replace the roof, I mean, I'm not going to replace the roof for colors.
Generally speaking, we have a regular way that our houses look. We very rarely deviate from the colors, the flooring, the kitchen, the style. Every now and then you get a unique house that you might want to add a little bit of sizzle to it that makes it look a little different, like the house that he was talking about at Magnolia. But basically we have a cookie cutter approach. It's the same. I have 5 crews. They all make houses look the same way. And so we kind of have a cookie cutter approach, so we don't even have to think about what we're doing.
Keeps it simple.
Yeah, we want to keep this is complicated enough as it is. We want to keep it simple, have a standardized way that we do business, and make all the houses look alike. We have a formula that works, and which we're going to share with you guys. You just got to copy what we do. I see a hand back there.
Well, I was going to ask, how often do you reevaluate style changes? Because you've been doing it for 30 years, so how often do you change? I know in the 80s, it wasn't gray on gray on gray.
We set the styles.
Yeah. Well, in this area, local market, I got to be honest with you. I think at least half of the people that are flipping houses copied what I've done, the same formula that I've used. The only little change that I may have made in the past year that may be a little different, I was always doing tile in the floors. I kind of switched that to the vinyl right now. But I also always had like a wood or wood look or carpeting in the bedrooms. Every now and then, especially on a smaller house, we're sometimes doing the whole thing in vinyl. But basically, the look is always the same. We don't very much change the structure of the properties. However, people today do like an open floor plan compared to the way they used to like to have the dining room, a separate office, separate sitting room. But today the look is more for the open look, and so when there's an opportunity to open it up, we do that regularly. Those are the only times I really get involved anymore because my crews have been with me for 122 years, 115 years, 2 others for 10 plus years. They know what I want this house to look like, and we're going to teach you guys how to have the same look that we have.
Yes, you said sometimes you do it in vinyl. You mean sheet vinyl or planks?
The PVC new PVC vinyl looks like wood.
Yeah, luxury
It's
vinyl
waterproof
plank.
now, so you can go in the bathrooms in the kitchen.
This is vinyl that they have now that looks just like tile or wood,
Yeah.
but it's scratch resistant, it doesn't waterproof. So it's really great for rental properties too, and it's all really great look for houses that you're going to want to
And it
sell.
goes in really quick, and the labor is usually cheaper than tile. So that makes a big difference.
Bathrooms.
Floor?
Consistent.
It's all 100% waterproof. It's pure plastic.
Yeah, so it can be the same
It's
thing
PVC.
throughout
It's a
the
PVC
entire
core.
house.
Holds up against dogs,
Yep.
stuff like that.
I don't know what kind of dog you got.
Watch your nails.
Do you ever have an issue with buyers seeing the vinyl in the bathroom and going, oh, that's going to be a problem? Like you can educate them all the time to tell them it's waterproof.
I think a lot of people see that now, like on TV, so they're more accepting it, and they know it's right. And sometimes if the extra, I just leave a case at the house in case they have a problem if they need to repair it, and they'll see it and it says 100% waterproof on it.
And most of the houses that I sell, all ultimately land on the MLS, except I sell a bunch of mine before they go to market because realtors, like, I got 2 emails today, you got anything coming up? And once you start building your reputation and people know the quality of the work you have and they know what you got, you start getting people that will want to buy your house before you even have it on the market. But when you list the house and put it in the MLS, you're going to put this in there. Vinyl, floor, you're going to explain what you got because especially if we're working in the houses that are under $300,000, A lot of those realtors are newer agents working with first-time buyers, and so one of the keys to keeping these kind of deals together is working closely with them and holding their hands through a deal.
Educate them through the process.
Educate them through the process, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big thing that you have to learn how to do, is educate you. Just because you got a real estate license doesn't mean you know any more than any of you people sitting here. They generally don't.
Oh, no, I was.
Are you talking about you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, make sure you factor in repairs as well. You know, maybe some potential repairs that you didn't do. Maybe you know the air conditioner is 15 years old. It might be on its last leg. It's working. You had it serviced. But that's one of those things that could come up in the 4-point, or it could be an issue come inspection. So just be mindful of that also when you're rehabbing the house. You don't have to over-improve and go above and beyond and replace that right away, but just think about in the back of your head that that could end up coming up on that end buyer. And being investors, we don't have a lot of emotion in these properties, if any, but you want to make sure that you're still willing to help get the property to the finish line.
Same thing with windows. You don't have to replace the windows if they're all functioning. So the buyers might want it, but you don't have to do it. As long as they all function 100%, we hardly ever replace windows.
You guys including all appliances usually, or?
We do,
Yes.
we do include appliance package in all our rehabs, absolutely.
All they have to do is, close, move the furniture in, and they're ready to go. The only thing I don't usually include, Mark might, is a washer and dryer.
I don't.
And if I'm doing a rehab, the first thing that comes out, if I'm not doing anything crazy, is the washer and dryer. Because I've been burned 3 times on inspection. It worked when we closed, it didn't work on inspection, so now every washer and dryer, I don't care, it's out unless it's brand new. It's the first thing that goes.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, you want that kitchen to look, I mean, we know kitchens and bathrooms are focal points for buyers. So if that buyer, especially a first-time home buyer, walks in and sees that nice kitchen with granite and stainless steel appliances, that says something if they know they're getting all of that. I mean, when you look at a house that doesn't have any appliances in it, and everything else was done, it doesn't have that same appeal.
And nowadays, I mean, the difference between black price for appliances and stainless, spend the extra $400 or $500 to buy the stainless. Just do it. It's going to sell that house a lot faster. Probably 2 to 3 months faster by doing that.
And when you partner up with us, we have alliances and partnerships with House Best Buy for one, where we can get you better pricing than you can get anywhere. And so when you start getting involved in the business and making the right alliances and friendships, there's always a better price.
Yeah. And price is the biggest thing for making your profit. Buy the buy price, the material price, working that good labor price, but getting a good quality job. The more you can guarantee the labor guy consistent work, and he has guaranteed work for maybe this next 6 months to a year, he's going to take care of you because you're going to take care of him.
You didn't talk about landscaping, what you generally do in that area.
So landscaping, I kind of have a package planned. I get it, probably 4 or 5 different colored plants, kind of colorful, and then I typically use brown or black mulch. Unless there's already rock down, then we might go into the rock, but it's usually just black or brown mulch.
Driveway, walk.
Normally we pressure wash the driveway. Depending on the price point of the house, you might want to put some pavers in if you need something to really help spruce up the house. But usually we don't do anything with the driveways too much.
Yeah, curb appeal is huge.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to, say, tree trimming, you just
That's
want
a
to make
big
sure stuff's at least, it's like 8 to 10 feet from the roof for insurance
Are
purposes.
you guys going and putting in driveways in houses that don't have them, per se?
Depending on the price point.
Yeah,
So
I
under
mean,
$100,000, probably not.
You can do, the asphalt pavers or shell. You'll see a lot of shell in those situations. If it doesn't have a driveway, there's probably a reason it didn't have a driveway. It wasn't a house that was that perfect fit
There's
for one.
a few houses on my street, there's just grass.
Yeah, I actually just had one of my duplexes. I had black asphalt put down on there, but when you look at this house, I could tell why they didn't have it before. It's because you got roots, 5, 10 inches in diameter running off this one huge oak tree that just made it a pain, but it was nice and it added curb appeal.
I was going to ask, you're factoring the fact that you might actually lose some money due to an inspection. Do you?
You mean make a little less money?
Make a little less
Okay.
money.
Okay.
Okay, we're not looking to lose any money.
Yes.
I've done 1,000 properties here, I have not lost on one of them.
Good.
That's a pretty good track record. Now, I don't make a lot of money sometimes, but I have not lost on any properties, and, you know, that's one of the main things that we can help you. Make sure you don't make a mistake coming out of the gate that's gonna stop you in your tracks and not allow you to take the next step. One of the best things, never mind the profits that we're gonna make together, but we're gonna make sure that we're gonna make some money and get a learning experience and get out of the gate and get your real estate career going in the right direction without losing any money.
Even if you made a smaller rehab fee at the end, that whole process that you learned, that you'll make it up on the next ones that you do. So if you made a $15,000 spread instead of 25, you'll make it up because you learned so much on that one deal.
Did you ever look back and get like an average discount off of your asking price? Did you ever do that? Over the last
I mean,
year?
like if you list at 199, they might ask for like 195, but nothing crazy. You do get lowball offers, it can happen, but I mean, those are real buyers.
Most of my experience over the last, just say, like 7 years, okay, the market's changed a little bit now, and people are thinking it's a little softer, but over the last 7 years, mostly I price my properties just below what I think the highest is, and some of my partners sometimes want to go for more, you know, and I can't blame them, but I generally price a little bit lower and get the best looking house, so it creates kind of excitement, because you want to get it sold if you can in the first 2 weeks, that's when you get the most activity, so we try to price it right there where it is, make it look better, and so generally we're looking for people to maybe pay a little over the asking price or know that they can't come in lower. So we try to price it right from the get-go. So
Sometimes you'll get 2 or 3 buyers that'll come in, you know, an extra $5,000 to $10,000 by dropping it $10,000 in the listing.
And when you talk about repairs and those numbers, if you start getting into thousands of dollars worth of repairs, you're probably doing something that's adding value to the house at that point. So let's say the roof isn't passing and you're going to have to replace the roof. Well, at that point, you probably already in your offer had accounted for that. It's probably a little less than what the ARV is because you know you have an older roof. You can come back to that buyer now and you can ask for a little bit of a higher price on the sales price. Your appraisal is going to come in better. So there's an offset.
Yeah, in every inspection, it's all negotiable. I mean, they could come at you with some crazy number and you're like, oh my lord, what? Like $10,000 in inspection repairs, and you can negotiate that up to $500 to $1,000. So.
first of all, if it needs a new roof, you put a new roof on before you put it on the market. You already know, if the roof can't pass an FHA inspection and not going to be able to get financing on the property, you're going to put a new roof on before you ever get to that point. You already know what's going on there and you better address it.
Yeah, you
Should've
need at
did that
least
on the
5
buy,
years of
you know.
life on a roof for it to be able to get insurance right now. And one thing you can do at the beginning of these properties is get a 4-point inspection done. Find a company in town, pay for a
Like $100 I think.
$200 4-point, which will at least let you know what to expect in terms of those major components
They're
on
gonna
the
tell you
house.
if the electrical panel's bad, your AC, the roof, and the plumbing.
Yeah.
The majority of the plumbing, not all of it, but the majority of it. And that's gonna be, you know, you can pass it on to your buyer for their insurance as well.
Sounds like almost with any old house, you're gonna have to replace a roof then.
Depends how old the roof
Depends,
is.
depends. I've done a lot of roofs, but not all the time.
Are you guys paying for surveys before you close on these?
That's a very good question, and I want to address this. This is a serious question and one that will ruin your career and may ruin some of your lives. If you don't get a survey on a property and you bought the wrong property, I don't close on a house unless there's a survey ever. And I can.
That didn't happen recently?
Yeah,
Story time. Story time.
Yeah. So the first time it happened to me, the first time when I learned my lesson, or I thought I learned my lesson, I bought this house and there was an easement that went right through the pool in the backyard.
Wow.
Luckily, it was a cash buyer who thought they were going to live in this house forever, because otherwise they would have never been able to get financing. I would have been stuck with the house forever. And from that point on, I made a decision that I would never close on a house without a survey and lien search also. You're always going to want to get that. Somehow or another, in the past year or two, there was this property that I didn't want. And somehow or another, somebody that I knew picked it up anyways, and he needed some help, and one of my crews wanted to do the project, and I was either out of town or sleeping or not paying attention or something, and somehow or another I bought this house without a survey, and we start constructing the house. My crews are in it, we're going. It turns out A piece of my house is on the guy's property next door. He actually owns part of my house. So basically, nobody can buy this house from me. The guy wouldn't sell me a piece of property. The guy got me by the, whatever you want to say, he got me by. And so now, just think about this. You got $150,000 in a house you can never sell. You can never sell. Luckily, hopefully, I don't even know yet. It's a year later still. Money keeps going into that property. I'm hoping that the guy next door is going to make a deal with me, and the deal with me is going to be I'm going to let him have the house for just what I got in it, maybe even less, just to get out of it. So the answer to that question is never. Write it down, people. Write it down, guys. I don't know if you're going to get help from us in the future or whatever, but right now I'm going to tell you, never, ever, ever close a property without getting a survey on it unless you're really a gambler. And we don't gamble here. We take calculated risks with a strategic process, tactics that work. But if you guys are going to go out there playing the game and rolling the dice, if you don't get a survey, one of these days you're going to not be happy.
I used to work in the utility permitting department. It happens all the time. People buy houses all the time without knowledge of what's underneath their yard, next to their yard. So I've seen major sewer systems go through the backyard and the side yard, and then next thing you know, they're trying to build a house on top of it. Or, like you said, if there's an easement agreement, or there's just so many things that could be part on your property that you have no idea that they're there. And the real estate agent, sometimes they don't know, so you have to do it yourself and do your due diligence.
Yep.
Yeah, and these are some of the things that we help you to make sure that you don't make a serious mistake.
Hey, Mark,
Yes, sir.
couldn't you just go there and say, hey, look, I've got a beautiful house for you. Would you like to come and see it? And then if he says yes, then you bought both the houses. And then you can resurvey it out.
I'm not sure I'm understanding what you're saying.
Buy the neighbor's house.
You have to buy his
Try to
house.
get find, okay, I can find you a house and similar to yours, if that would make you happy, and then,
Oh, no, that wouldn't be a good option. In this case, it's an absolute impossibility. In this case, so that's not going to happen in this case, but that sounds like something that okay.
What other questions do you have?
I want to talk a little bit more then about, we got time for more questions. We got about 10 minutes here, 10 minutes for some more questions. And I'll talk to you guys a little bit more about building your team. Okay, what they were talking about, building your team, because I heard some questions being asked about how you pay them and what you pay them and all that stuff. You got to be real careful here, okay? Because if you're building a business, what you're looking to do is actually find people that are going to be in business with you. Just like we're looking for partners here today, people that want to partner up with us. When you're building that next level of your business, you're looking for people that, they're going to be part of who you are. The people that have stayed with me for all these years, they're my family now. The guy, I bought them houses, loaned them money, give them, they become part of my life. And you're wanting to make a business, you're going to want to make these people a part of your life, and they're an important part of your life. And you got to remember, they live paycheck to paycheck, okay? And so from the beginning, you got to start a trusting relationship with them. And that's a challenging thing to do, especially at the beginning, because you don't really know what they're doing. They're worried about if they're going to get paid, because all these people that are in the remodeling or construction business have all been screwed. Every one of them. Every one of them has been taken. So they don't trust you either. So the job at the beginning of the whole process is to find somebody that you can have a real relationship with and let them know who you are. And who I've always been is the guy who makes sure that they get their money when they're supposed to have their money. Because keep this in mind, everybody who works for them is living paycheck to paycheck. If they don't get the money to pay their guys, they're going to lose their guys. Then you don't have somebody in the house to work the house the next week. And then you're out having to build crews. And a lot of these people, they're not sitting in real estate seminars like this looking for financial freedom, that they're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you're acting out of that fear and anxiety that we talked about here. So the important thing is at the beginning is to build a relationship with the people that you intend to build your business with. So make sure you're always going to pay them. Do we have a hand back there?
5 minutes.
Go ahead.
I got a question about the contract. Are we gonna go over that at some point later? Like the assignment contract?
Did we? I thought.
We touched about it a little bit, we can talk about it a little now, I guess.
Sure.
What's your questions on it? It's in the book, I believe.
Yeah, so I was reading the contract. It says seller pays doc stamps, corrective instrument fees for docs.
Yep.
Does that come off basically what the buyer's paying for
That comes off of what the seller, so that, you're on the actual contract, I believe. So if you negotiate $150,000, they're paying the doc cents on $150,000. And then if there's any other issues that they need to have recorded to correct the title, then they pay for that out of the proceeds.
Okay.
And that comes out of closing. A lot of them get confused, like, oh, I don't have this money now, but it all comes out of the proceeds.
Got it.
I found that most contractors I've found anyway are either on the high end or they're barely scraping by and they're on the low end.
Yep.
So, you know, where is the middle? I mean, how do you have to bring somebody in from Tampa, or you know, are you finding?
It's trial and error.
It's trial and error, but
Like I said,
been
it's
doing
the
it for
hardest
so
part.
long that I've kind of built a crew.
Yeah.
Someone that can manage the guys underneath him, and then he brings in a couple guys, because not everyone can do everything.
Yeah.
You know, some guys can paint, but they can't do drywall, but then some painters can do both.
But
So
they say they can.
they say that. So, you know, not everyone that does tile floor can do wood floor, or wood floor can do tile floor. So try and find someone that can do a few things, but they're not going to be good at everything.
Everything, right?
So, I mean, you want probably a 3 to 5 man crew if possible, because stuff will get done faster.
And are you signing a contract with all of your jobs, or are you to the point where?
Typically the main head guy, and then he runs his own guys under him.
Okay. So it's just one check.
Yeah.
And then you
One
take-
check, he pays out, and then it's
Okay.
between me and him.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna take one more question, and then we're gonna go over some rehabs that we've done and go through some examples and hear some success stories. And then, so one more question. Go ahead.
So you said you have 3 5-man crews. Do you, so, and they're doing a whole bunch of different jobs?
They're doing the whole house, but
Okay.
so that way they can have different people doing different things in the house.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask about, like, how do you coordinate, like, all right, the painter's gonna come in this day, but he doesn't want.
I don't coordinate it. The head guy in charge of the crew kind of coordinates all of that.
When you got a crew leader, they take care of everything. You got one guy that you're working directly in, they work with everybody else.
And you don't want to communicate with everyone else. You want to communicate with one guy, and he can communicate with them. And that's
So
it.
I'll talk to that.
So is it his company, like a general contractor, so to speak? Or he's got different?
Usually, yeah.
It's not.
Subbing out.
Or he subs it out.
But your time frame, your contract, everything's.
I deal with one guy, and however he handles it, that's between him and his guys.
And the last thing I just want to say is document your journey on this. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, this is what I love about rehabs, is watching these properties transform. Make sure you take some pictures at the beginning, during, and after. Create your own portfolio. Maybe that's just for yourself and your family to see the history of this, but you can also use that with these lenders. Of course, they're going to go look at the Secretary of State website just to see if you're actually the owner of this property or not, but still, document everything you do.
Yeah, that's fun. I wish I had done that. I would have had a huge book, but I never kept track of anything I was doing. I have no references to what I did before, but I got some of what's going on now, and we're going to kind of get into that right now. Let's give a round of applause to Paul and Dave, man. They were awesome, man. I hope they gave you some good information, and now we're just going to kind of go over a little bit about what's going on here and some of the deals that we did. This right now is a picture, I guess we took it last night. All of these properties right now, the first 3 ones there are active in the market, and right now I've got 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 6, I got 7 properties right now in today's marketplace pending and ready to close in the next 15 to 20 days, and that's happening right now here in your backyard. This right here is a rehab that we did, I guess it says May of 1919, we purchased it. Well, I purchased it in January. I was going to say, I know the story on this one. You know how I kind of told you guys how we think and feel is what transfers in your life? I've always had this belief that in December, when everybody's sleeping and most people aren't working, they're getting ready for the holidays, I always believe that deals are dropping on my lap and what we believe to be true becomes true. So in December this year, just to make sure that it happened, I decided to do a little bit about what we teach you guys how to do, and I decided that I was going to make a few phone calls and drive for dollars, and I drove and called it for sale by owner, and this was one of the houses that I bought. I bought myself $135,000, and let's see, we spent $43,000 on the rehab, and we sold it for $228,000, and I made a profit of $38,500. And I think there's going to be some pictures of before and after. Yeah, this was before. That's after. Obviously, I think you can tell this is before and after. Let's hope so, anyways. And okay, that's the only pictures we got of that. This house was a special property, and it sold. I think we had multiple offers by the end of the first weekend. This is the property here in Venice, Florida. We bought it in July last year, almost a year ago. We paid $101,000 for it. I believe we got that off of a mailer.
Yep, that was an absentee owner.
That was an absentee owner with our mail program that we're going to share with you. We bought it for $101,000. We spent $44,000 on the rehab. We sold it for $210,000, and we made a profit of $48,000. Sent to the buyers list, no takers. So we tried to wholesale it at the beginning. We didn't wholesale it, and we decided to rehab it. In the first weekend, we had 4 offers on this. You can see an amazing transformation in the type of rehabs that we do here. This one right here, this is a beautiful house. This is in Bradenton, over in a really nice neighborhood near downtown. We got this from a mailer, correct? We got this from a mailer. We paid $205,000 for it. We spent $63,000 of it. The lead came from a postcard. Closing costs, so we sold it for $325,000, and we made a profit of $40,000 on that one right there. This is a wholesale deal. We purchased this house. We contracted it for $90,000. We wholesaled it in less than 1 week. For $154,000. That looks like a $54,000 profit, but it says 50. We probably had some closing costs there. We actually made $50,000 on one house that we just wholesaled. We got that off a mailer. We bought it. We sold it just like that, $54,000. And one of the things I told you guys yesterday about was when you're wholesaling property, you're looking to make sure that you leave some money on the table for other people to make money. This person who purchased it, they paid $154,000. They sold it for $310,000. We're estimating or guesstimating that they made over $50,000 profit, and that happened in.
Took them 6 months on the rehab.
6 months on the rehab, and they made at least $50,000.
And that's another one where the buyer I found on the wholesale side of that one came from a RIA meeting. I was sitting there at lunch, first time meeting him at the table. He heard of what I had, came and looked at it. He had some foreign investors. They committed to it that same day.
All right. We talked about yesterday annual real estate goals. We talked about year 1, year 2, and year 3. And now we're going to listen to a couple testimonials, and we're going to have a couple live testimonies. And here we go. 2 seconds. Anybody has any questions, you can hold them till afterwards.
Thanks, Stu. Mark and I met when I came down seasonally with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and she had a job down here. I had just got done college and was just coming down for 6 months to kind of enjoy myself, and I joined Bath and Racket Tennis Club where I met Mark. Mark was always a fun and passionate guy out on the tennis court. we became really good friends pretty quickly. He was always quick to offer help and advice and kind of tell me about the area. And so I started asking Mark what it was that he did. I saw he drove a nice car, and I saw he always had, nice clothes on, and I was like, what do you do, Mark? And he said, I'm a real estate investor. I own 250 rental houses, and I do a lot of flips every year. And so the more Mark and I kind of talked about it, it became something that was interesting to me. And one day, Mark and I were talking about my previous work experience, and I told him that I had some sales experience. He said, you know what, you'd be great at flipping houses. Why don't you come and work for me? So Mark said, come over to my house, and you can come see what a day in the life of Mark Pellets is like. Well, that was one of the best decisions I ever made, to go hop in the car and drive around with Mark. So the first house that I sold was with Mark. I think it was one on our second or third trip, and we were down in Venice behind the Cadillac dealership, and we drove by this little tiny 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. He said, how much can you sell this for? I said, I don't know, $50,000. He said, how about this? You sell it for $25,000, and I'll give you a check for $2,000. I said, oh, that sounds fair enough. Half of what I thought I could get for it, so I should be able to get that. At the time, we were using bandit signs, which is a popular wholesaling technique. He said, take this box of signs, write your phone number on there, and put 25,000 cash. And he gave me the list of information on the house, told me what to say if somebody asked a specific question. And this was all very new to me. So people would call and ask a question, I'd say, I don't know, I'd hang up, I'd call Mark. He'd tell me what the answer was, or tell me how to figure out the answer, and then I'd call him back. Years later, I had my first check from Real Estate Investment. And from then on, I was hooked. So from there, Mark and I started going a lot more frequently, and I would, as much time as I could spend with him, I would. We'd ride around, we'd look at houses, I'd follow him into his rehab projects, and I just tried to be a sponge and suck up everything that he had to offer, which is, if you know Mark, a lot. It was clear to see right away that the passion and the energy and the drive that he had on the tennis court is something that translates throughout his whole life and his career. And he's just a knowledgeable and driven individual, but he has so much passion for what he does, and he's so good at it because he will go the extra length. He will do one step further than everybody else to make sure that everything goes right and the deal gets done properly. The greatest things I can say about Mark is his insight and his personality and how he cares for people is something that you don't find in everyday life. Since then, I've been wholesaling and rehabbing for the last 5 years. I've done about 60 to 80 properties a year. Mark and I still work together closely in that we send him a lot of our deals, because Mark is the type of buyer that's, if he says he's going to buy it and he says he'll take it, he'll do it. He knows that it's a very, very competitive market, and if somebody sends him a deal and he knows it's a good deal, he's not going to hesitate. He's not going to ask, questions that aren't relevant. Once he does his due diligence and says that he's going to buy the deal, he'll write the check and he'll fulfill all his duties at closing. He's a seasoned and true veteran real estate investor. There's not a lot of people that have done the amount of rehab projects and bought and sold the amount of houses and owned the amount of rentals that Mark's owned. Every single deal that you do in real estate is going to be different. There's always going to be different problems and different challenges that arise. And I've done probably 600 to 800 deals, somewhere in there. Mark's done an infinite amount of those, and I think I've seen probably almost every problem that could arise, so I can only imagine the other problems that I haven't seen that Mark has. He knows how to get everything he does to the finish line. And that's one of the biggest problems with people that are trying to get into real estate investment is you run into these snafus and you'll hit a wall, and if you can't get past that wall and get to the finish line, then it's not a deal, because the deal doesn't end or come to fruition until everything has been done and the deal's completed. So Mark's one of those guys that can get you to the finish line in any deal, regardless of what situation or problem arises in that situation.
am Jill Lyons, and I am the broker of Relax Realty Group. That is the property management company that Mark Pellets and I own together. And I watched him flip homes for about a year and quickly wanted to become an investor myself. I knew that was the end goal, is for me to be an investor in home rentals and have the passive income like he did. And I learned how to find and vet a property while he was flipping, and I was kind of doing the admin side of the work for him. And I bought my first flip within, 4 or 5 months. And I flipped that home and made $100,000 in profit. Just working around Mark, it's given me the confidence. I bought a triplex out on the island on Siesta Key, which was my ultimate dream that day of closing. I literally cried because I always wanted to own on Siesta Key. I rented out there for decades, never thought in my wildest imagination that I would be able to buy out there. And today I live on Siesta Key in my own home and rent out 2 doors, and taught me how it works because those 2 doors pay for the other door, and I am able to put money in and invest money in real estate all day, every day. So my goal is not to own 200 homes. I just want to own 10 and sail away on a boat someday. But definitely with Mark's knowledge, his generosity of his sharing his information and what he does, not only from a numbers point of view, you know, any number or financial question I ask, he's open and honest and sharing. And not everybody always is like that. So with Mark's help, I definitely am going to have the passive income I want and live my dreams.
Hi, my name is Catherine Blazer, and I've been with Mark's team for about a month now. Within a week and a half of taking direct action from Mark's guidance, I had my largest wholesale check that closed 10 days after that. I've got to say, joining his team was a great decision for me, and I think it will be for you also.
Hi everybody, my name is Paul Fournier. I'm a touring musician, a producer, and I own my own event coordination company. I got to a point where I didn't know what my financial security would look like. You know, my guaranteed outcome for my life when I was like 60 or 70, or would be 60 or 70, would be playing in bars or restaurants, making $100 to $200 a night. But I knew I needed something more. I knew I needed financial security. I knew I needed a backbone. And when I found Mark, I was able to actually find that backbone of financial security. And that was through real estate. So now I'm working in real estate part-time. In the last 7 months, I've made over $24,000 with Mark. And like I said, it's part-time. So I'm able to make more money doing something outside of music, and it's giving me more free time with what I love to do, and it's giving me the financial security to actually know that my time and my efforts are going in the right space. So no longer do I have to put my dreams at the mercy to make money for me. I can do that with something else and then be able to be much more happier with what I'm doing. So if you're thinking twice about asking Mark to be your mentor, don't look any further. You know, when you have a mentor like Mark Pellets, you can actually call him and he's going to give you straight down the line what you should be doing in real estate. So there's no guessing game anymore. If you want a guy that's really knows his salt and really knows his worth and the real estate market, and especially in Sarasota and Bradenton and all over the state of Florida, Mark's your guy.
We got a couple of people that we're going to bring up. Okay, he can't talk without the microphone. I can. Let's bring up Catherine. Oh. Catherine, come on up. I know you just saw her up there. We'll let her speak live to you guys. She's new on the team, and we're happy to have her here. And she's going to maybe share a little bit of her success in whatever else she wants. And then Michael is going to also share his. And I know they both had recent ones too. So you want to go first, Michael?
Yeah, I'll go first. How's everyone doing today? Good? I know we're about to go on lunch in about 30 minutes, so that's a good thing. Well, my name's Michael. I'm from Fort Myers, Florida. And short story, but I'll make it kind of long. About, I'm going to say a year ago, I wanted to get in real estate. I was currently working a full-time job at a subject contractor for flooring, for new mods in Fort Myers for new flooring. And I've always wanted to get in real estate. My wife's pretty heavy in it. And I was like, man, I got to get in it somehow. And she was telling me we could start wholesaling. So I started reading up on it, get on YouTube. And YouTube University, getting in these Facebook groups. you start reading all these comments, you start reading all these notes, and you're just like, man, I know there's something out there I got to get into. So I started getting a pen and paper, and I started doing driving for dollars. This was literally, say July of last year, easily. And I started doing that for about 4 months. I still got my notepads of all my notes and stuff for calling. Nobody was answering nothing. And because I was working a full-time job, I was meeting people at 6 o'clock at night. You know, and I had chains in the vehicle, put some better clothes on because I was working, you know. So I was like, okay, I'll meet with these people. No deals ever came through. So then, actually, through my wife, she's like, we got to talk to Paul Provencher. So we actually reached out to him for some coaching. And we went through a bunch of stuff, based on what I had to do. He set up a system where we could go through a bunch of videos, start learning how to talk to sellers on the phone, talk to buyers and things of that nature. So right after that, about 2 months after that, I dropped mail for the first time. Like a whole.
First one was out mail.
Huh?
First one was out
Yeah.
mail.
Oh yeah. My first one was out mail. I didn't do no mail. My first deal I had. First, I showed on this story. I had 2 houses on the contract. I had them too high at one time, and then I met this seller, this buyer that wanted to buy cash. And I knew this one house that was on the market actually from a realtor, and it was fully gutted down to the studs. And I was like, man, I told him, I said, I'm gonna take someone to that house. What's the code? So I walked into the house with this buyer, not knowing I knew the numbers where I wanted to go at to negotiate with the seller. And I walked in, and bam, I was like, yeah, I give it to you for 72. He's like, okay, I'll close by Friday. It was like on a Monday, and as soon as I got on the phone with the agent, I was like, I need this at 62 right now. 10 minutes later, he said, cool. I sent him a purchase agreement, got it signed. 2 hours later, I got the assignment agreed signed for the buyer that quick in 3 days. And we closed, I think, 14 days after that. That was my first deal ever. I didn't even have the house on a contract. No joke. So everything I've been talking about, I made eight grand just like that. Just like that. So I paid out $2 grand for agent commissions. That was on my first deal. No joke, no marketing. And then as soon as I dropped mail, 2 weeks later, I picked up 2 houses, just like that. As soon as I dropped direct mail. A lot of phone calls, I can tell you that. A lot of cussing it out. A lot of people are going to cuss you out, but that's how that was. But direct mail works. Working with Paul, man. How many times have I can text you during the day?
Quite a bit.
It's either like WTF or like hello, like 6 times, like he ain't answering. So because sometimes I overthink a lot. Like, what happens if they ask me for this, or man, this thing's wood house, or man, the pool, what if the pool's shot, man, that's 30 grand, you know? And then you're always talking to someone, you're talking to your mentor, he's always like, you know, relax. Shut up, Willis. Stop thinking right now. Relax. What'd she say? What'd he say? What'd the seller say? What'd the buyer say, you know? Or what'd the inspector say? And that's a lot of times how he taught me. He says, just calm down a little bit, because I'll be like, man, this person's not answering the phone. They blew me up, now they're not answering, you know, the buyer, you know, so impatient. So getting with him, it was just fast, real fast. Working with mail, I never left the house with a purchase agreement on the kitchen table, to be honest with you. On price, just like that. So
What happened this week?
Man, this week it was tough. I'm gonna tell you what happened. I had this house in Northport, Charlotte, right? Pretty much a lipstick house. Needed some flooring, needed a whole new floor, paint, and a good cleaning job. And maybe take the cabinets, make the countertops off, but the cabinets were solid. AC was 5 years old. House built 2005. Man, should I tell them the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take this out. So I reached out to an agent on MLS that was listed for a house that was actually a flip. If you look on MLS, you can find out what house has been flipped, right? Reached out to the agent in this area because I'm in Fort Myers and I had this house in Northport. Reached out to her and I said, give her the info. And she's like, okay, no problem. Gave her access to the house. She asked about a couple things, let her know it's nothing. Okay, so she tried to lowball me. I said, I'm not going to lowball you. You're not going to take that offer. So about a week and a half later, I met her at the house. I didn't know she was supposed to be there. She didn't tell me. I was meeting some other buyers there. So there's a small thing with the AC. I got it fixed. Had an AC guy come out, fix it, $150. He flipped it. It works. But she never contacted me from that point on a Thursday. She never contacted me. And then prior to that, seeing her on a Thursday, I had another wholesaler said he has a buyer. So this other, I got a buyer for this, no problem. I got it, no problem. I said, okay, I'm gonna give you my assignment contract. Let me get the buyer's LLC, your name, and I'll send it to you. He's like, no, you gotta put it in my LLC. I'm like, no, I put it in my LLC, right? So for some reason, he didn't understand that I could put in my assignment contract marketing fee, which could be his fee right there, or an agent, either or, in the HUD, and we get the property, get the money right out around the HUD on the closing day. So I gave it to him in his LLC, right? So he took the same contract, put it in another LLC, and sold it to a buyer. Lo and behold, on Monday, I did that on Friday, on Monday this week, I got an email from that agent, tagged me, the wholesale, the title, Lisa, all in the same email. It says, hey, I have confirmation price at this amount on 3% commission with Mike, and it had this other wholesaler's name on there. And she already knew everything about what I was doing with this wholesaler. So make a long story short, the other wholesaler was trying to cut out the agent, and the agent was the buyer's agent.
Oh, wow.
Like, totally. Like, I'm looking at this. She never came back to me from the time I saw her. He didn't translate the information that she was doing. He wasn't telling me. He was like, yeah, I'll tell Mike. I'll tell Mike. So he was translating everything with her, with the buyer, like doing all that. So when on Monday, I get this email at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, so I text the guy, I said, well, how in the hell do you know this woman? And he's like, oh, yeah. So this week, that day, next 2 days, I had to call her over the phone and ask her what happened. She's like, oh, he didn't tell you? He didn't tell you? He told me that you fixed the AC? He didn't tell you that I have the buyer? You're supposed to tell me you're still involved, because last time I saw her it was on Thursday. And that was it, so I didn't know what to do. So I got with Paul, and I said, Paul, look at this. And he's like, you need to get the agent on the phone. You need to talk to Lisa.
Well, here's the point. He had Paul to call. You know, that sounds complicated.
That sounds very complicated. I know it sounds complicated.
To me too, and well, the point is, he needed Paul and he needed us, and he needs people to help, but he got to the finish line.
To save the deal. The deal got saved. Put it that way.
Closed yesterday, right?
Yeah, I just closed yesterday.
And he got a check yesterday.
Check yesterday.
Round of applause.
$7 grand.
Good job. Catherine, quickly, come on up.
So you guys already heard my success story for this week, or last week, but, you know, I've been wholesaling for about a year with a national brokerage that prides themselves on training people, and the amount of information that I have learned, retained, and then been helped through in the last 3 weeks through Mark and Paul and Dane and everyone else, it's different. It's hands-on. I can call Mark at 6 a.m. when I'm up and say this is what's going on, or have a text that says, hey, you should probably do this, or this is actually how you should be working with signs or advertising or what you're putting out there to generate the information that you want and the return that you want, because they've already done it. So it's not like I have to recreate all these systems or adjust systems. They have it for our market, which is unique. So.
All right, round of applause for Catherine. All right, we're going to be going to lunch in just a few minutes, but over the last few days since we've been here, I've been approached and said, well, how can I work with you at this level? Like, how do I get to have some of what they just talked about, having some one-on-one time? But first I want to explain to you a little bit why I got into coaching. And as they were showing the testimonies and you know, when Duncan was up there, you know, it reminded me back to about 5 years ago, or 7 years ago when I started with him, and helping other people is really what I'm all about. And I actually shed a few tears, you know, because the reason I got into coaching was to make a difference in other people's lives. And you know, I'm gonna hold myself back before I get emotional, because you know, I really care about people. And my process of learning about real estate started with going to classes and getting mentored by people and going to some of these seminars all around the country. And what I always found that there was something missing. You know, you'd go, we talked about that a little bit here. You know, you get the information and you'd leave where you are and you didn't have anybody to hold your hand or they were in a different market. And I started thinking about how I'm going to help people and why I want to help people. And there was an actual gap in what's being available to the people that are out there in the marketplace looking to get into real estate, because there's nobody that's doing it on a community level that can actually help people. The other reason I want to do it is I want to build my business. I want to build my business too, and the best way to do that is with partners. And the other thing is I want to help the community, you know, make a difference in the real estate community and the community here. And you know, helping another person get what they want in their life is about the most rewarding thing. You know, I'm at a place in my life now where I basically have everything I want. I've got the financial income I want. I've got the lifestyle. I've got the other gifts that come from being financially free. And I don't have a whole lot of time, but there's a need to have what we're offering you here and what's been shown to you over the last couple days. You see there's a lot of information and a lot of stuff to do it. And even hearing Michael talk about his success makes me think about how much stuff you really need and how much hand-holding you really need. You know, it sounds like you just go to work and you get it done, but there's a lot of things that happen. And I can't, so what we want to do is, I want to show you what working with us, or working with me, or Paul, what it actually looks like, and what that would mean to you. So we're going to, so, working with us, or me, one of the things that you're going to get from us will be actual 12 months of mentoring with Paul and myself, which is going to include 12 one-on-one coaching sessions, and at least half of those is going to be in the field, looking at properties, talking to sellers, making deals, making them come together, and stuff like that. And that may not sound like, you may think that's only once a month. Well, that's not what it looks like, because when you get coaching, most of the stuff needs to happen in the first 60 to 90 days as we get you involved and we work out a marketing plan with you. And we actually go into the field and we have a quick start program to make sure that you're successful. So a lot of those first one-on-ones is all going to happen in the first 90 days. We're going to have group coaching sessions. We got a 90-day quick start master program and a free membership from starting now until the end of 2020 in REI Live and IQ. We're going to give you the toolbox, all the scripts, deal review. We're going to accompany you on 5 or more motivated leads. We're going to give you the opportunity to join our mastermind. We're going to have marketing campaigns that we talked about. We're actually going to put you right in the programs that we talked about. You heard Michael talk about a mail drop program, and what we're going to actually do is we're going to do the business together. We're going to take you through the process and we're going to become partners. And there's been nothing that means more to me in my life than the partnerships and the friendships that I've made. After Duncan started with me, and I'm going to tell you why he's with me but not with me, about 5 years ago, as a matter of fact, 5 years ago this month, my wife left me. And on a Friday, she left me on a Friday in August 5 years ago. And on the Monday afterwards, my dog died that I had for 17 years. And I'll try to lighten it up. My wife left me and my dog died. I missed my dog. That's a joke. Yeah, I miss my dog, but the truth of the matter is I said nobody's ever left me, including my ex-wife. My ex-wife still works with me. She's my assistant. She works in our office. You guys will get to know her. And I like to keep people around, that's really why I want to get into coaching, because I want to help other people be successful. And like the brightest spot in my life and my day is watching Dan grow and Catherine and Paul and helping everybody get what's available in the real estate business and the opportunities that are here for us. And that's what I wake up for, to help other people. And I see a bunch of people in this room right now that I hope we all become friends and part of the community and everything together. And so that's why I got into coaching, and that's what it looks like. And you know, we're gonna go down to here, we gotta scroll down there a little bit more. Not only are we gonna give you our vetted resources and make you available to you our money. We have, tomorrow you're gonna hear of my hard money lender that's not so hard. I've got lenders that will loan to us with me on flips at less than 8% and easy terms. We've got other vetted resources, roofers, AC people, contractors. We're gonna do all the business together. We've got contacts at Home Depot and Best Buy. And you're gonna get into our warm market where everything's gonna be real easy to get started. You know, you're gonna have lawyers that you can work with, accountants, and anything that you need along the process of doing this business is gonna come to you. Funding, resources, and we're gonna do deal splits together. I see somebody shaking their head in the back of the room. What does that mean? It means we're gonna share in our profits. The profits that we make, that we partner in, we're gonna do together. And so, let me ask you something. If you get into a partnership with us and we go out and do deals together, and everything that we just talked about, you're my partner, we do the rehab together, we use my money, we use my resources. I basically hold your hand and we go out and we do a deal together, me and you. We do it with everything that I got, and we're gonna share in the profits. What do you think would be a fair split on the money on that? Can I hear anybody? 80-20. 50-50.
Depends on the work.
Anybody else? I do everything. How much do you think would be a fair split?
80-20.
80. Who gets 80?
You.
Ah.
No, me.
Who? You, me.
I reckon I get 80%.
Who funds the deal?
He does. He does the work.
He funds the deal, he does the work, he brings the money?
So why do you?
No. Well, how would you like it if you're gonna get? So if we end up partnering together, you know, I care about you guys. I'm already where I need to be in the business. I've got the money. I've got what I need. If we're gonna partner together, you're gonna get the 80-20. As a matter of fact, you become partners with us. I want to make sure that you're successful in this business. So out of the gate, you're gonna get the 80-20. So on these deals that we're talking about right here, the first two deals you are actually gonna get 80%. I'm gonna do all the work. We're gonna learn everything together. We're gonna get all my resources. We're gonna use the money that I have, and we're gonna do deals together. And I'm gonna make sure that you're successful, and you're gonna get the 80%. How does that sound?
Wow.
Yeah. And the first year, we're gonna guarantee that you're gonna make $100,000 profit in this business entity that we create together. So you get into business with us, we're gonna give you 80-20, we're gonna give you all these things that we have, all the tools, all the systems, all the resources, and the first two deals we're gonna be 80-20, and then after that we're gonna be 50-50 partners, because I want to be sure that everybody's gonna be profitable, and I want you guys to be my business partners. So, you're probably wondering,